Ladies and gentlemen, Skywalker.
Thank you, Big Jim Edwards, for that wonderful introduction. And thank you for watching Radio Memories. I appreciate you tuning in. We've been on vacation for a little bit, but it's good to be back here on June 1st, 2022. And what a great show we have lined up for you today. A true radio legend, Willie B. Willie B is going to be on Radio Memories here with us today, which is very exciting for me. I first met Willie B at 10Q Radio in Los Angeles. That's way back in the 70s. I know it sounds like a long time ago, but it feels like it was just yesterday. And it is very exciting for me to get to interview Willie B. So this is going to be a very exciting show. I hope you enjoy it, and we're going to get right into it right after this. Radio Memories, sponsored by Audio Girl Productions. Devastatingly effective, with a roster of English, Spanish, and French Canadian voiceover talent, custom music, jingles, and more. Check out audiogirlproductions.com. That's audiogirlproductions.com. From the KUBA studios, joining us, radio legend, Willie B. Willie B., it is such a pleasure to have you on Radio Memories. Thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, but you said legend. There's another Willie B. floating around. Like wow, let's find that guy.
You are the one and only, and it is so good to have you. You know, I've been wanting to get you for such a long time, since 2021, and it is so great to have you in 2022. I can't believe you're still programming a radio station and doing it so well, and you've got KUBA sounding like a major market radio station in Yuba City, California.
We try really hard, and the station, thank you, I think does sound pretty good, except that idiot in the morning, he's just off the rails, and I got a hotline myself 7, 8, 9 times a day. We do a lot of heavy duty promotions. Matter of fact, I just gave away tickets for Smokey Robinson at the Hard Rock in Sacramento. Next week, it's New Kids on the Block down at the Golden One Center, Sacramento. So, man, we are active, heavy on community events. When I first got here, it had not rained in California like since Noah. And I got here and I thought 40 days and 40 nights, man. I'm getting 2 of every animal. So when I got here, I'm still living at the hotel. We had the spillway above us here at Lake Oroville break down, and we were almost all going to drown. At any rate, I slept on the studio floor, and it was like the old days of the blizzards in Baltimore. We were on the air live covering 170,000. Well, like my boss says, Willie, you came on the radio and 170,000 people left town. So we covered that evacuation, and that was kind of the beginning of where I'm going with the station here. That's super hyper local. I mean, you know, one of the benchmarks I do is called the 530. And again, the content writes itself, Dave. I go through social media. And again, everybody's outraged on social media, and especially an older conservative audience. So, you know, whether it's kids with their pants down to their ankles, or the local porch pirates, tweakers, whatever the outrage of the moment is, I do a whole feature called the 530 as we go perusing through the social media abusing so you don't have to. And I read just these terrible horseshit comments from social media over a soap opera organ. And people love it, man. So, again, there is a place for terrestrial radio in the 21st century, and I think it's just being local. People talking to people about what's going on around them. Whatever the delivery vehicle is, it works. That's what people seem to like. I hope anyway.
It's very entertaining, and if you have not listened to KUBA, please give it a listen. Now let's go into your career. Where does it begin? Because you've been on the radio since, when did you start out?
You really want to go there, Pilgrim? I actually worked with David Starnoff, getting the casualty list from the Titanic in 1912. I started hanging out. Thanks for laughing at my attempt at humor. I started hanging out.
That's why I wore the 10Q t-shirt, you know, in honor.
I know, man. I was going to say that. Thanks for wearing that, by the way. Thank you very much. I lost mine, so I don't mind seeing the topless tape if you got a shirt to spare there. Just saying. Like all of us, it's like what Close Encounters. In the movie there, they're all building the Devil's Tower monument, like in their living rooms. So us radio guys with that genetic curse, building little radio stations in our bedrooms. So
Yeah.
I did that, talking to the wall. Parents were not impressed. So by the age of 12, I hung out at one of the first FM stations in my hometown of Montgomery, Alabama. And I got there. Again, I'm 12 years old, but tall for my age, and I knew a little bit about local radio. And the guy on the air, it's a Music to Die By station, and he wants to get laid. And I want to get on the radio. So he shows me how to run the board, and then he sneaks off with his girlfriend.
So it's literally a beautiful music station.
Yes, and I'm segueing Montalbani into Montalbani Records. And I still had a better time than he did. So after that, there's no way they're going to get me out of there. So one of the older guys, I think 19 or 20, by New Year's of 1969 going into 1970, this guy's going to Atlanta to the FCC office to take his third class test. Mm-hmm. And you want to tag along. Well, man, I checked the book out of the library that night, and I studied. No other test in my life ever mattered like passing my third. And man, by the time I got to Atlanta, my only concern is that, am I too young? I was 13 by then. Like, is there an age limit on the test? So at any rate, so I got started officially by early 1970 after running the board and doing IDs for late 1969. And the rest is history. After I got out of high school, I had to escape from Alabama.
Yeah, and we all did that. It's so funny because we all, kind of went along the same lines. Doing little IDs and
Yes.
and then trying to get going and getting the third class with a broadcast endorsement so you could get that first gig and so forth. But growing up in Alabama, didn't you have that Southern drawl? Didn't you
Funny you mentioned that. There are so many radio people from the South that did well. Mark and Brian, Scott Shannon, Jan Jeffries. Anyway, I think part of what may be the case here is that guys from the South, and I had the Southern accent, originally from a town the size of Mayberry in South Alabama. So I'm straight off the farm. Everything I said sounded like Jeff Foxworthy, except it wasn't funny. So in my case, I used to listen and record like the CBS top of the hour news off the radio. I would transcribe it then, and I would do my own version of it on a tape recorder and compare my voice to the network announcer. And I got rid of it. So I think guys like us from the South that are, more aware of the accent and how we speak, that may be part of the focus that helps you in your radio career as you go along, is that you're already kind of used to that mental focus and how you enunciate things like that. So that's how I got rid of it. Easy peasy, never a problem. I made the rounds there, and by 72, by the time I was 15, great station in Montgomery. It's Y102 now. It was WHHY back then. And that, of course, was my goal growing up. That was the station everybody listened to. Larry Stevens, the program director, major market material, just a great programmer, great on-air personality, great teacher. And he hired me when I was 15. At that time, WHHY had a 25 share, more than the next three stations combined. So that was a lot of growth there. And by the time I got out of high school, I was doing mornings at a news station there in Montgomery, Z103. A guy named Charlie Parker was the program director. He had worked at KJR in Seattle. So it was like kissing the ring. Like, wow, you've been to the majors. You've touched the hem of the garment,
Yeah.
So Charlie Parker, though, got fired and hit the road, Jack. And shortly after that, the one guy on the staff nobody liked became the PD and fired me. Well, I got fired on a Thursday, and I was told Saturday would be my last day. Saturday, coincidentally, was my 18th birthday, right? So that was on a Thursday night. They had moved me then to 7 to midnight, the old get him out of this place. So 7 to midnight, I'm told before I go on the air, Thursday night, Saturday, you're vapor. Here's your hat. What's your hurry? 24 hours later, as fate, the good Lord, karma would have it. 24 hours later, I'm on the air on my next to last show, Friday night. Hotline rings. It's Charlie Parker, my former PD. And he says, hey, man, I'm here with Bruce Brown, the program director of KELP in El Paso, and he wants to talk to you. By the next Friday night, I was driving into El Paso, Texas at KELP. And you talk about a gift from heaven. That was just the high point of my life. Until about 4 or 5 months into KELP, I had an offer to go to X-Rock, the competitor. X-Rock, John Long had programmed X-Rock. Matter of fact, the highest rated CHR in America at one time, but they fired him. So John Long became our consultant at KELP. Small world, John Long had also worked with Bobby Rich at B100. And John Long has a book. You know how your memory plays tricks? Well, this is exactly what I remember. And it's in John Long's book. I still remember the R&R article, Bobby Rich of KHJ fame, putting on a new high-energy FM CHR in San Diego looking for jocks. Well, I had heard the Programmer's Digest, KCBQ, BuzzFed, Jack McCoy last contest, and I'm nowhere near ready for San Diego, the majors, much less San Diego. Didn't send a tape. Well, again, this is 5 months after I got the call to go to El Paso. The hotline rings and I'm on the air. Hey, Willie, it's Bobby Rich. I spent 10 minutes in denial going, come on, who is this really? Bobby says, dude, I hear you're about to destroy your career and cross the street and go over to X-Rock. Wouldn't you rather come to San Diego? So less than a year after high school, I'm doing afternoon drive in San Diego, making more money than I was ever worth, living on the beach in the greatest market, greatest station, greatest staff ever. And I got to tell you, man, that led to Los Angeles, Jimmy Fox.
And that just threw you, so that just threw you for a loop. I mean, so he just offered you the gig.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got to tell you, I don't mean to brag because, good work is hard to find now on radio.
Of course.
Every major market job I had fell into my lap.
So you're at B100, a dream come true. Here are some pictures of you and the crew. And then suddenly B100's music director, Jimmy Fox, is called to be the PD of a big-time Los Angeles radio station, which is going to become 10Q. It takes you and Dave Conley from B100. Now, how does that work with Bobby Rich?
I love Bobby Rich, and again, we are buds to this day. Matter of fact, he came up here to see me maybe a year or two back. It was before the pandemic, but Bobby Rich and I have stayed in touch over these 47, 48 years, and are in touch regularly. But yeah, that was again, B100 had done so well. And Jimmy Fox left to go put 10Q on the air and, the advance work and all that. And everybody had a pretty good idea that at least myself and Dave Conley were going to be making that trip as well. So, it was kind of weird for a couple of months there. And, I didn't want to mislead anybody, but it was like the elephant in the room. But that said, Jimmy Fox brought me up to Los Angeles along with Dave Conley. And once again, I'm coming on the air after Dave Conley. Some things never change. And find myself at 10Q. And that, of course, brought in the real Don Steele and, working with a legendary guy like that. And I even, in August, I think it was, Michael Spears called me. And I got to tell you, man, I think I'm the only person on earth that ever turned down KHJ. I'm your guy. So, the rest of my life, you talk about the ultimate what if. Michael Spears called me and offered me nights on KHJ. So again, I'm 19 or 20 years old. I'm from, bum blank Alabama. And, I'm already amazed being in San Diego, much less Los Angeles. And here I am at Martoni's in Hollywood, having dinner with Michael Spears of KFRC fame, offering me a job, which I turned down. I was being loyal to 10Q and all that, so a lot of what ifs there. But then again, I met my wife because I stayed at 10Q and they sent me off to a Gong Show appearance and all that. And that's where I met my wife. So all of that would have never happened. And my 3 beautiful kids would have never been born had I gone and thrown my life away at what is it, KHJ, I think it is.
I can't recall.
It's just one of those meant to be things, I suppose. But had a great run at 10Q, all things must.
And it's funny because while Jimmy Fox was the program director, it was a very fun radio station, and it was a little wild. It was a little free form. What I'm playing this clip right here is from a documentary about when Kiss, the rock group Kiss, and Gene Simmons and the guys invaded 10Q radio. It was on the Real Don Steele show, and a documentary is being filmed while this is going on, and it was absolutely madness. And I love this stuff. But one of my favorite things that you guys got to do was jock changeovers. And after Jimmy Fox left the radio station, that left as well. And I used to love those, and I used to love to listen to them, and especially you and the real Don Steele, because you guys did the best. And I'm just going to play this one because this is the most famous.
If it's the Grand Theft Auto, I think when I'd seen it, I'm not. Oh, go ahead. I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to be. All right, Dave, have it.
Let me play it here.
Willie B, baby. And now presenting Mr. Junior Bruce. Oh, well, hey, I gotta let you know, on my cable system on my TV at home, right? Yes, sir. Yes. The special movie channel. Last night they premiered a brand new movie. They're gonna show for 2 weeks. Death Race 2000. Mercy. And you were excellent, man. Really. I mean, was I a dancer on the brink of death? Yeah, you and your pink scarf. You know. Delgado is alive. You wanna be in pictures. Willie B, you confuse me, man. 301, Fractions Friday, the night's on night coming up.
Poetry in motion. I mean, just beautiful. You and your pink scarf. You ought to be in pictures. I mean, that is just, there were so many beautiful crossover changeovers with you and the real Don Steele, but that is just the one that is heard the most, and I just love that. And I put some pictures, with alongside of that air check. And I understand that KHJ had rearranged their lineup.
That's the trick to the changeovers, and we had done changeovers in San Diego at B100, which KCBQ was not doing, and we felt that there people started talking about it and great feedback. So we did them again in Los Angeles, and Don Steele, shortly after 10Q signed on, was like, hey, he told me Robert W. Morgan called and was pissed off at me for being 20 years old and sounding so good in LA. And Robert W. Morgan invited me over to KMPC, did a bit on the air with him. I didn't mean to drop that story or his name like that, though. But in that same conversation, the real Don Steele, and again, everything he says is gospel. So he says, hey, these changeovers, a lot of people going, they like that, what's the word, camaraderie. Of course, Don was deaf as a door. Like that word, camaraderie, Wells. Yeah, a little louder, Don, So at any rate, thank you. And that one there, I guess, is the epitome of it. And you're right. Here's the rub of the changeovers. And as far as live radio, and if you build it, they will come. KHJ started initially when the changeovers really did gain traction. They started giving away $100 every day at 3 o'clock when we did the changeover to counter us. And when that didn't work, they actually staggered their schedule. And I don't know if it was directly because of our changeovers, but again, it came right after their 3 o'clock $100 bill giveaway didn't really have the desired results. So they staggered their schedule. Instead of noon to 3, 3 to 6, it was 1 to 4, 4 to 7 kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. So I guess the changeover worked. But thanks for playing that back. That was a real high point in my life to not only be there at 10Q and in Los Angeles, and especially at such a young age, but to work with that staff, and especially the real Don Steele. And I hate name droppers, as I was telling the Queen the other day, but you meet people in life from the get-go that are something special. And when people ask about RDS, and again, I got to know the guy. We hung out at his house quite a bit. Matter of fact, I didn't realize that Don was that unapproachable because nobody told me, because he and I got along awesomely. We just really hit it off. Don looked at me as a younger guy, to let him in on the hip edge, like I'm the last person to tell you what's going on in the world of Hypnoston. But we just hit it off. And matter of fact, Don invited me over to his house a couple of times, which I understand never ever happens. I got him one night after so many brain cells were killed to break out. This is 77, 78. So VCRs back then were like the size of a Volkswagen, like this Betamax machine. But Don and I, with a lot of dead brain cells, I got him to break out a video of his old dance show on KHJ TV. So that was really something. But as far as I've never met anybody in my life, not just a radio talent quite like that, but somebody with that kind of charisma And again, personally and professionally, somebody, you know, I think Henry David Thoreau said, I've never met someone who is wide awake, somebody that is fully awake. And I'm not quite sure if I could handle it if I did, or Thoreau words to that effect. And I think Don Steele was that guy. He was fully awake. He was firing on all cylinders, I think, in just about every aspect of life. So, like I said, from a career standpoint, but a personal standpoint, it was a real gift, as so much in radio has been for me.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And that must have been amazing just to sit with the real Don Steele and watch his TV show, to experience that energy of watching him, you know, push the girls off the stage and bring another girl on stage and do the little dance and the lights flashing. And it was such a fun show. And to me, it was so exciting to watch. It was a great experience for me as a kid. You got to see this and be with him, and you know, as you're destroying brain cells, so that must have been really exciting.
Yeah, it was.
But
I used to piss him off to go, yeah, man, when you were doing Boss Radio, I was only in the Cub Scouts back then.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And last real Don Steele story. I know you have other topics to discuss, and this is something that struck me, and again, being from Alabama and working there in Los Angeles, Hollywood, and understanding these people, these show people. One day, Don Steele had a producer, Larry Barbera. He is the nephew of Hanna-Barbera fame, and nice guy. And at any rate, there was one day Don wasn't his usual self, and his eyes seemed kind of puffy. And not the drug version of red puffy eyes, but puffy, like something's wrong. And so finally I asked Larry, like, what's up? Don is not himself. Like, oh, his mother died today. I'm like, his mother died? Well, why is he coming into work? My God, his mother died. And Larry's like, no. You don't understand. His mother, this is show business, Wills. His mother played piano for silent movie theaters back in the day. Real Don Steele was at Hollywood High. He was in the band. This is show business. And this is what these people do. The show always goes on. And there he is, man, sobbing with a Kleenex between songs. But boy, on the radio, how to show is as good as any he ever had. And that always stuck with him, man. I mean, just a consummate professional. It was really something.
Yeah. That's the way he was. And Wills, before we run out of time, after 10Q, you went to KISS FM. Yeah,
at KISS for a while. Mike Wagner hired me, and that was a lot of fun, sitting on the 19th floor, watching everybody line up to go to the Merv Griffin show. That Alabama, you can't quite ever scrape it all off your boots there, Buckaroo. So again, to sit there at KISS FM and look at the Merv Griffin audience lining up. After 10Q at RKO in Boston, which was a real treat. I got to work with Big Ron O'Brien there. Good friend I had run into Big Ron. He had been visiting down in San Diego with mutual friends like Brian White back in the day when he was at CFL. And like, oh my God, Big Ron. So when I got the call to go to RKO, like, I got a bud in the building already. So that was another great experience. Charlie Van Dyke worked there as well. And then back to San Diego to do mornings at Magic 91. And then, another 8 years in Baltimore at B104. Stop me at any time. This story
Baltimore was a long run. You had a great time there.
I remember on vacation at B104 in Baltimore, they gave me a vacation every year. Very generous people. That's another great run, 8 years there. They gave me a vacation out to Los Angeles every year. And I remember getting out at LAX and checking in. And again, for some kid that I mentioned from Alabama, to drop by in the course of one afternoon, hanging out with the real Don Steele at KRLA, and let me go check in on Big Ron while I'm here over at KISS FM. Two of the greatest jocks that ever were, two of the greatest stations there ever were, and me just dropping in for a visit. So, yeah, man, a lot of great friends. That brings to mind up from San Diego when my wife was pregnant. I was doing mornings at Magic 91, going through LA, and we stopped by and see Bobby Rich at K-Hits in the old 10Q building. So, yeah, that was pretty surreal.
I've got a clip of you in Baltimore. It sounds like you had a great time. You almost gave away, concert tickets to see the Bee Gees. Thank God you stopped yourself. Here's just a quick clip. Let's look at his fun time in Baltimore.
B104. The message is perfectly simple.
B104. B104 near me, ABC and Willie B. It's 3:35. B104, home of the high school spirit contest. What we need, aside from your cheerleaders, is your name and your high school. Write it down. Vote as often as you like. Just make sure your name appears only once per any piece of paper. Now, voting is limited to the student body. We find bogus names on there. Instead of the Hooters as a grand prize, you receive a private concert with the Bee Gees. Deadline's coming up in about one more week, so get those entries into us right away. The address, B104 High School Spirit Contest, number 7 East Lexington Street, Baltimore 21202. Rankings be announced a little bit later on tonight with Kid Curry. B104 Music Sweep featuring Whitney Houston and Arcadia, plus a chance to be a winner on Thirsty Thursdays coming up.
It's a celebration at Hunt Valley Mall.
Boy, can you believe a team from Canada in the World Series? Bob and Doug McKenzie doing play-by-play. It's rather strange, I believe. B104, Thirsty Thursday, it's time to make you a winner. This show being kind of canned. We've got a case of Diet Coke or a Classic Coke. You choose, you win. Jeez, this is dramatic. With the phrase that pays caller 15 scores.
B104.
Caller 13, try again, please. It'll be high points of my day is hanging up on the listeners. B104 caller 14, try again, please.
So you had a great time. Looks like you had a fun time every place you've been. And now you're going to stop in for 610 KFRC days on June 10th in Modesto.
I'm trying to do that. I think we also got the LA reunion going on that weekend. So I've already got the time off. I'm just trying to logistically map that out there. But when Chris, called about that, like, really? Yeah. And then again, I'll let you know a secret, everybody. I'm not really a legend. I'm just the only guy from those days that hasn't bothered to die yet. So
that's not so.
I'm like the last veteran of the Civil War. What was it like back in the day, man? You're our last direct link. So at any rate, thanks for that. It's truly amazing, man. I go on and on, not to grovel, not to crush, but I have always felt in radio, even after doing it for over half a century, like an interloper. Like at any moment, somebody's going to come in and go, "What the hell are you doing in the studio? Go."
That is not so. You are one of the most talented, one of the most creative people that I have ever had the privilege and honor of meeting and watching work. And I think you are incredible. I really appreciate you being on Radio Memories, and I'd love for you to come back and, share some more stories.
Thank you so much. I want to, again, thank you so much for the kind words. That means a lot. Life is too short. And, in radio back in the day, and nothing against the female gender, but we always called it kind of a brotherhood. I can remember, like, all of us visiting other stations, and right away, somebody recognizes radio voice, and there was that instant rapport, But I want to say sincerely, Scott, what all that you do. And again, I've looked at Radio Memory, and again, when Billy Pearl died, man, you did a wonderful tribute. Billy Pearl was when I first heard him, I was electrified. I had never heard anybody quite like that before. Yeah. And, and the guy wasn't around on the radio for that long. He may have been a major influence for people like me, but he didn't have a lot of longevity. He went on to do talk radio, then became an attorney and got a real job. Right. But you contribute to what little bit of material that there was, you had it. And that meant a lot to people like me. Friends and people I care about or have admired over the years. And thank you, man. This is an incredible resource. And I think a lot of these great radio stories are going to live on long after you and I are gone. So
yeah,
you're doing thank you.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that. And thank you for those kind words. And once again, I appreciate you and great radio legend, Willie B. Take care of yourself, my friend.
Cash or check. Thank you, man.
Always leave him laughing, right? Radio legend Willie B. He is the best in the business. I tell you, it is such a pleasure. What a great conversation. I really enjoyed it, Willie B. And I hope I get you back on the show, because I would love to talk to you about this radio station right here at 10Q, which was a radio station I programmed in Sacramento in 1986, which was almost 10 years, I guess exactly 10 years after 10Q went on the air. in December 1976. So it's something that I had a great time with, and I did an exact replica of 10Q with the Master Blaster, the top of the hour sounder, the jingles. I had a great staff, just as crazy as the staff that signed on KTNQ, and we pretty much got away with murder, and it was very fun, and I'd love to share those experiences with you. And I'd love to talk more about 10Q, because 10Q was something special, I think, for both of us in different ways. And by the end of 10Q, I would end up being on the air because they ended up doing away with public service, and they needed somebody to be on the air Sunday mornings from 3 a.m. to 8 a.m. So that was my very first gig. And so 10Q is something special to me, and I know it is to you in two different respects, but I'd love to share those next time on Radio Memories. So I hope you come back, and that's a sincere invitation. And coming up next time on Radio Memories, we've got the incredible radio veteran, Bob Landry. Bob's been to San Francisco. He's been to KFM, BFM, San Diego, and B100 with Bobby Rich, and he's also been at the WHBQ when Rick Dees was there. So he's got some great stories. So join us next time for more great radio memories.
Check out past interviews on the Radio Memories YouTube channel and on Spotify. Click the links. This is Maggie McKay for Radio Memories, a Dave Schuyler production.
Radio Memories.